birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Well, folks, welcome to Darlington Raceway for the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series here with the Goat Locker Truck Series. And right here at Darlington Speedway, or excuse me, Darlington Raceway here in Darlington, South Carolina. Basically, this is the NASCAR's oldest super speedway. That's what they always say. That's what they've always have said. And I'm going to tell you right now, folks, this place is going to be a straight up monster for these guys in these trucks here tonight. But with, the first round that we had went through at North Wilkesboro, had a little bit of a controversy on how some of that stuff played out, but that playoff grid actually had another name added to it. It was going to go from the round of 12 to the round of 8, ended up going to the round of 9, with that being added in another driver. And a lot of, we talked to some of the drivers, me and Dean, both of us talked to some of the drivers last week about that. And it was kind of a crazy deal, how everything happened out. But at that point, Jake Ellingson, he ends up getting that last spot of how everything ended up. He ends up getting in. And I'm telling you, Dean, I'll bring you in right here. Darlington, South Carolina, it's one of, like I said, it's one of the best racetracks, but it can be a straight up pain in the, I'll just go ahead and call it like it is. It's a straight up pain. Yeah, there you go. A straight up pain in the ass. It can be, because this track is not as wide as most tracks is. And there is always about that Darlington stripe, where you may get into the corner a little bit too deep, slide up, and tag it straight into the fence.
Well, I'm glad to have you on board there to let me know about that, my friend, because I would be in the fence every single day of the week in any of these trucks going around these tracks. Blake out there says, good morning from London. Good morning to you, my dear man. Are you having your fish and chips or your cup of tea and biscuits? Because you're in for some Jam printing. There you go. Put some jam at the moment on. Oh, jeez. I've already started, haven't we? But what we are about to start, my dear friend, is the race. And of course, well, before we start the race, we're going to need to decide, well, tell everybody what the grid's all about.
Yeah, here's the grid, the starting grid. And honestly, I mean, basically picking up right where he left off last week. Eddie Smith on the front row won last week. And unfortunately, no victorious secret car for us tonight. Looks like he's going to be driving the Tide. Yep, the Tide Silverado. So Eddie Smith on the pole. And then Brandon Evans, the McConey Setup Shop truck. He will be starting right beside of him in truck number 39. Patrick Drabick will be third with Trevor McManus in fourth. Jake Ellingson, as we talked about, getting into this next round. He will start fifth with James Kaufman starting in the sixth spot. Joe Yates, James Goshen will be seventh and eighth. Jeremy Gardner, this is kind of, I guess you could say crazy, territory for Jeremy Gardner to be back here in the back, kind of. But he will start ninth with Ryan Pendleton starting in 10th. And then Doug Ellingson, the last driver to take a time this evening, he will start 11th. The rest of the guys, Jamie Barkis, Charles Fiskus, and John Anthony, the 14 trucks here tonight at Darlington. And Dean, as I mentioned a while ago about the slipping and the sliding and all that crazy stuff that happens at Darlington Raceway, this track's got a little bit of a crazy, I guess you could say, map to it, because obviously you got one turn that's way bigger than other. Basically, your egg-shaped oval. I mean, true egg-shaped oval. I mean, you go into the first turn, it's kind of like a normal turn. It's real wide out, or I guess you could say a real wide arc all the way around, come down the backstretch, and then turn 3, a lot more narrower. And Dean, like I said, right there with that wall, you see it right there, that red and white wall that they're going by right there on the outside. Every single one of these guys is going to have to figure out a way to keep it out of that wall for 115 laps tonight.
And you're going to have right on board at the moment with the pole sitter, of Eddie Smith. They're just chopping and changing. And, well, this is what it feels like in this track, as you said, which is almost like a complete oval. But you're doing it at 57 miles an hour, rather than you'll be doing it. What is the peak speed do you think the drivers are going to be doing, of course, when you go pedal to the metal?
Well, they're going to be hauling the mail, especially going into turn number 3. And also going to be hauling the mail going in. You're probably looking at around 150 miles an hour, maybe even more than that, 160 miles an hour. Because these guys, I mean, I'm telling you, they get some serious speed. It's like I said, it's the oldest super speedway that we have, and you got it live right here on the NASCAR 360 Racing Network. Eddie Smith, Brandon Evans, they take the green flag. Both drivers real tight on one another. You see Drabick, McManus, they back off just a little bit, but Evans not going to give up the room. Now he gives way to Eddie Smith, and that turn 2 wall can jump up and bite you big time here at Darlington, but Eddie Smith getting away with the lead right here early.
I can see exactly what you mentioned there. They're going to go up to the high line at the moment. Further up, there's a little bit of movement in the back there. Joe Yates, I think, and Jake going for 2 for now. Up on the inside line, not yet. They want to tuck in line and stand up that. They want to stay at the high line. And Jake, Jacob, what is the reason as to why they're going to do that? You don't want to burn too much tire if you go down on the inside?
No, I mean, really, I think what you're going to end up doing is burning more tire on the top side. I mean, it's basically like you would say at Kansas or even Vegas, where we're going to go next week for the championship race. But, I mean, that's your fastest line, is going around here at Darlington. You're going to see Eddie gets all the way down to the dotted white line, slides up against the wall. Then you're going to see him cut it back down, as you see, come back down, and then drift back up. What you don't want to do is ride the top side all the way through 1 and 2, because if you do, it's like I said, that turn 2 wall, it jumps out and bites you big time. I mean, that's where we see a lot of the accidents happen at Darlington, is turn 2, because it's literally the hardest corner in oval racing on iRacing. It really is, because it's so unpredictable. You can get tight over there in turn 2, and then once it once it grips so much, Dean, to where it gets so tight. There's no way to try to avoid it. You're just going to go straight up into the fence, and Eddie Smith almost went up into the fence right there in front of Brandon Evans. Evans really putting some pressure right now on Eddie Smith right here very early on in this race.
Well, take us on board right now there, Jacob, as we are riding in the eyes very much of Trevor McManus, as you said. Look at the different line. You can see you can't really see Eddie, but Eddie's in the P1 position at the moment, tide machine, and riding just behind Brandon. Brandon's going to follow him in, but look at the speed difference you're going to get. You see 6,000 RPM and 144 miles an hour, lifting off a little bit, coasting it, driving a little bit twirly-whirly. Take us a little on board here. What do you be doing as a race driver?
Yeah, I mean, basically right here you see, I mean, this is what you want to do. Try to get it down like Eddie and Brandon done right there. Get it down on that white line there. You see Trevor getting it back down on that white line coming off the corner, trying to stay away from that turn 2 wall as much as he possibly can. Then you get into 3 and 4. Right here's where the egg shape right here. I guess you can say the top of the egg right here where it's at. And this part right here, you know, you'll see guys go to the top, you'll see guys go to the bottom. As you see, Trevor actually was on the top trying to see if he can get a run. But it's like I said, I mean, this track is big time. I mean, it is so narrow here. It is hard to even get 2 wide, much less 3 wide. So, folks, if you're aiming for maybe some 3 wide racing tonight, you're probably out of luck at that point, because you're not going to really see a lot of 3 wide unless it's just straight up send it and go for it, you know, at the end of the race if it come down to that. But, I mean, that's basically a lap at Darlington, and the main thing, no full throttle off the corner, because if you're full throttle off the corner, you will burn your tires up big time here. This is like Dover and Old Atlanta, basically, in a nutshell. Also throw Chicagoland in there as well, as you got some hard racing right here with Jake and Joe back here battling it out for that 5th spot.
You're calling that one. I wouldn't see this. You get cars too wide. So there it is. The gamble up on the inside. One of these cars that ends in 7 is going to be in a position either of 4 or 5. Look at this. Wheel-to-wheel racing, door banging. This is fantastic, but it had to lift off, didn't it? Joe had to lift a little bit there to allow Jake still to continue this one.
Yeah, I mean, and if he didn't get out of the gas, I mean, Joe was just going to slide right up into Jake and just straight up stuff him straight in the fence. I mean, that's the chance that you take, especially going into turn 1. You're going to see Joe try to make another shot at it right here, but Jake drives it in a little bit deeper, and he's able to get clear. So
cost him.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, honestly, Dean, this is not one of my favorite tracks to race on, but I absolutely love the racing here at Darlington, because you see different lines. You see Eddie going all the way up against the wall, and you see Brandon trying to get down on that low side. And I'm telling you, I mean, the top side is where you're going to get your speed at, but at the same time, up top is where you're going to be burning your tires at the most.
That's what I'm learning currently at the moment, and you can see that driver's concentration in his helmet. Look at that. One little mistake. Look at that. It's so close to the fence that it sucks you in like a vacuum cleaner. Sucks you in like you lost your sock, isn't it, in the washing machine, especially if you use some Tide. But don't worry about that. Eddie Smith still covering the line off there. Brandon's going to have to send something here at the moment. He's challenging. But then as soon as he breaks it right on the inside, is it going to be enough, Jacob? He might have it here. He might have it. We'll go on board, actually, with Trevor, I think. Get a bird's eye pitch.
Yeah. Wow, Eddie's actually going to get out of the gas right there and actually push Trevor back just a little bit. And, you know, Eddie cut Brandon a break right there, because it was going to get really tight right there. If Eddie was to stay in the gas right there, he was going to be basically on the right rear quarter panel of Brandon Evans right there. And it would have got very, very crazy, especially for these top 4 drivers right here, Brandon, Eddie, Trevor, and Patrick Trebek. I mean, all 4 of them would have probably got cleaned out at that point if Brandon would have got turned straight into the fence. But like I said, it just gets so tight over there. The truck naturally wants to jump up to the wall. I mean, that's just how it is here at Darlington. I mean, that's how it is. You see Trevor all up in that fence.
Yeah, exactly. Did you say all tied or tied? I don't know if you're talking a reference back to the car, of course, of Eddie Smith. There you go. And Ray's out there, of course. Hello, Ray. Good to see you again, of course, as well as everybody. Doug is actually down at P13 at the moment, as well. Lap 14 of 115. 102 to go.
And really, I mean, Dean, you know, this race, this race is basically survival. I mean, it can be a race of survival. We've seen it in other truck races and other next-gen races, other Xfinity races. Any race here is basically survival. Like I said, trying to keep it out of that fence. But if you want to be fast, you got to get up there and you got to flirt with that wall just a little bit. You ain't got to go out with it. You just got to flirt with it. Just let it know that you are interested somewhat, somehow. But as you see, Trevor really flirting with that outside wall right there. McManus all up in it. And he's trying to get up all in the back of Eddie Smith. And this is kind of crazy right here, Dean, because you got the two front guys. You got Brandon Evans and Eddie Smith. But both of these drivers, they're running completely different paint schemes than they've ran all season. Usually you see Brandon in the McConey setup shop truck and Eddie Smith in the Victoria's Secret truck. Now both of them driving completely different trucks. You see Doug Ellingson on pit road may have actually had a little bit of damage after getting into the fence. And here comes the leaders.
Is he going to come out?
Wide open right here.
The leader's going to be around the right-hand side of your picture any second now. What's that? Passed him already, actually. No, yeah. So there's this one out for Ray looking at, because we have two, of course. Ellingson's out there at the moment. Yeah, but you called it perfectly, of course. Well, you do call it. You're one of the best casters and call. Oh, there's dancing at the fence, my friend. And that is how you tango here. And, well, how much do you think that's going to compromise it? Because look at this. You got Trevor and you got Joe. You got everybody here. It's a party.
I mean, Dean, when you get in the fence here at Darlington, it's basically, I mean, you're doing all you can to try to pull the truck off of the wall. I mean, basically, it's just like, it just sucks you straight up like a vacuum cleaner. It basically sucks you straight up into the fence, kills all of your momentum. And you see it right now. McManus has no momentum at this point right here. Jeremy Gardner, who we actually saw, he actually said he choked in qualifying. That's what we're seeing in the chat right now that Jeremy Garner said before the race. Here he goes, jumps down to the bottom, and McManus, who was running up inside the top three, now he just lost all that momentum, slipped back. Patrick Trebeks went by him, Jake Ellingson, Joe Yates. Everybody has went by Trevor McManus at this point, and now he's going to have to regroup and refocus to try to get some of them spots back.
And look at his face at the moment there, of course, for Trevor at the moment. He's looking happy and kind of sad about that one too, Trevor. There you go. Loving to see you there. Yeah, there you go, Trev. But don't worry, my friend. You have plenty of time. 96 laps to go. You never know. What do you think about Doug going to pit road? I'm a little concerned about that one. Like, is he gone back in again? I didn't see any damage. But
yeah, I'm starting to kind of get puzzled by this. Actually, yes, he did have damage, because I'm sitting here looking on a replay. I'm trying to get a good idea of exactly what happened. Looked like he just kind of lost it, and then somehow or another, I think he ended up hitting the wall and he ended up smoking. So something was amiss on the 58. Not exactly. I think I see what it was. I think he might have got out of the gas.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's got loosey-goosey.
He slipped is what he did, and then after he slipped, I think he actually downshifted.
No, he's, where is he?
And then he may have threw it in a different gear, and then he ended up actually smoking the engine. I think that's exactly what it was.
All right, there it is. Thank you very much. Perhaps Ray might give us a ray of light, perhaps, or a shine of light on the situation at the moment. James is down in the back there. So still Brandon leaving. Look at this gap that he has at the moment, my dear friend. That is a lot in oval racing. As you can see, Eddie up still on the fence there, and I think we are getting very, very close to... No, I thought there was a yellow flag. My mouse was almost... Jeremy is on a rampage. You said 3 positions gained. He's well aware of his qualifying performance was not the absolute best, or in his words. But, however, make it up in racecraft. Oh, whoa.
And Joe Yates sideways coming off of turn 2. That's another thing that could definitely happen to you. That's like, I mean, honestly, back in the day, Dean, this track was actually flipped. And what I mean by flipped is you see him coming off of turn 4 right here. This actually used to be the back stretch for Darlington. And then when they're going through right here in turn 1, it used to be turn 3. That's why, if anybody has ever watched the movie Days of Thunder, you know, they hear about Darlington, treacherous turn 4. You know, I'm sure everybody that's watched that movie has heard them say that when Cole Trickle tries to make that move to the outside. Basically, it's treacherous turn 2 now because the track has flipped now, obviously, from front stretch to back stretch and so on and so forth. So that turn 2, like I said, it is one of the trickiest and hardest corners in all of iRacing and all of oval racing. I'm sure there's some more trickier corners in road courses, but as far as oval racing, it is straight up treacherous. As you see Yates back here, he got sideways again and got him in the fence once again. But Gardner starting to put a little bit of pressure right here on Jake Ellingson for that 4th spot.
Look at the way he's turning the steering wheel at the moment on the inside there. So Veterans for Life Foundation, of course, the 27 machine. It's one of the key founders and sponsors of this fantastic Goat Locker Racing. I wanted to throw this one out at the moment there. You're talking about Days of Thunder, right? Now Tom Cruise, of course, co-starred Nicole Kidman. Now, oh, there is a little bit of how to handle a truck, my dear friend. But I wanted to put it to you. A yes or no if you think, oh, that is it possible or has it been? I've dated Nicole Kidman in the past. Anyway, let's not go to that one. Nicole Kidman, of course, the co-star in the movie. Looks like Doug may have had a little moment at the fence, but we'll keep the action right now. The 42 and 27 machine.
And actually, going back to your comment right there, Dean, honestly, you know, nothing against Nicole Kidman, but I prefer Jennifer Aniston. But that's just me. That's just my taste. But anyway, besides that,
she was in the
we'll
movie.
Get away from that. No, she wasn't in the movie, but I kind of wish she was. But anyway, Jeremy Gardner getting around Jake Ellingson for that 4th spot. And he's, like you said, basically on a rampage right now, up 5 spots from the start of the race. You see Doug right here having some more trouble right here on the Boeing backstretch.
Busted big time. What's going on there with the front end?
Yeah, looks like he may end up calling it a night from what it's showing right here. But he's sitting on pit road still. Maybe try to get that bad boy fixed and get back out there. And, you know, Dean, you know, we've seen, you know, Doug, I mean, he soldiers on. Hence the U.S. Army paint scheme that the 58 has. But he soldiers on every single race, and that's why he's a fan favorite by many, and also a fan favorite by the drivers as well.
And well, we have if one Ellingson is not there, the other Jake is putting some little bit of pressure back on Jeremy, but I'm not quite sure he can keep the pace of Jeremy. One person keeping the pace at the moment. There's the 39 machine, 1 position gained and comfortable. Now, Jake, of course, we've luckily, cross your fingers, 30 laps of 115. Under green. Of course, we have a little less trucks on there to cause problems, but running aboard right now with Brendan. How's his car fitting? Truck.
Well, I'm telling you, I mean, he looks like he's actually been out there pretty good, saving some tires. Obviously not running qualifying times because obviously they ran 28.8s in practice. 28, actually, he ran the exact same time he ran in practice as he did in qualifying, 28.855. And then going past the line this time right here, a whole 2 seconds slower, right at it, about 2 seconds slower, 30.462. That's what he's running. And that's what I was talking about, Dean. These guys, they're not going to be all get out at this point. They're going to be just trying to save what tires they have. Because what I think that they're wanting to do, 115 laps, and you know, my Georgia math's not 100%, I will say that. But what I'm thinking is these guys are going to go halfway. They're going to go halfway, and then at that point, go down, go get 4 fresh tires. And maybe some guys maybe even try the undercut. Maybe, you know, think some, or say for Patrick Drabik, may end up pulling the undercut to go ahead and go down before these guys and try to get the jump on them, because as you see Joe Yates all but sideways right there off of turn 2. But, I mean, this track right here, it is abrasive on the tires. And, you know, the guy that's going to have the freshest tires at the end, he's going to have a shot to win the race if he's not too far back from his competition.
Oh, fireworks are going off everywhere here at the moment there. I had to mute myself for a second. Oh, door banging, my friend. We love it. Come on, keep it up, gentlemen. Just make sure you don't door bang it too much at the moment. You don't want anybody knocking on heaven's door. If we're going to go back to that movie, of course, Days of Thunder. God, there's references coming everywhere, aren't they? But there it is. Sorry, yes, of course. Yes, 40 minutes of repair out there. Watching a race with me, says Ray. Oh, wow.
And that's unfortunate, especially this early in the event. But it's like I said, I mean, this track, it's not easy. Dean, it really isn't. That's why it's, I guess you could say that's why it's not one of my favorite tracks because, I mean, it is a driver's track. You've got to be able to manhandle that truck or car, whichever one you prefer to drive. You got to be able to manhandle that sucker all the way around this track. And you basically, I mean, you've got to race the track. Granted, you have competition out there. I know Brandon, he's got Eddie Smith, he's got Patrick Trebek, Jeremy Gardner, and Jake Ellenson, which is your top 5. Obviously, he's got the competition out there that he's got to deal with, but at the same time, you've got to pace yourself, race the track, and it's like Starling Martin said back in the day, you race the track and she'll be good to you.
Never heard that one before. That's a fantastic quote, obviously. Race the track and she'll be good to you. One thing has been good to the 42 machine right now, Jeremy, is that he's up 5 and on a rampage. And look at that. If he catches Patrick, he's gonna. It feels like it. This is a 5-star Uber driver right now, isn't it? Jeremy's gonna be like, yeah, I'll get you there, my friend. At 100 and something kilometers per hour, miles per hour. Sorry, I keep getting the imperial metric system. But let's actually have a look there. He's actually doing, give or take 141. So there you go. There's your 5-star Uber driver right now. Jeremy, if we're gonna be riding shotgun with you, it's like, would you like a bottle? Is the music comfortable at the moment? I can turn the AC up and down. Well, let's put the revs up and down, Jeremy, because Patrick's up the road.
I mean, and, not to mention, but, Jeremy, as we talked about, is he actually taps the fence a little bit. I think he threw that Uber driver out there just a little bit too early right there for him, Dean. But, I mean, but you got to think, Jeremy started 9th, and he's all the way up to 4th right now. How hard did he push his truck? Obviously, we've seen him get in the fence just a little bit. Is Eddie Smith? What is going on with the number 1?
No,
May have got into the fence a little bit.
Yeah, he's got in the fence for sure, hasn't he? Because there's no way he dropped like that. And if anything, Jeremy's going to take the prey away. He's like, put this in your washing machine and roll it, number 1 machine. Oh, and they're going to pit road. So they're electing Patrick's gone into pit road. And Eddie's gone into pit road. So there it is. This is green flag pit stops there too, Mr. Jacob.
Yeah, and actually, that is exactly what happened to Eddie. I actually went back and looked at that. He didn't hit the wall. He was actually trying to go ahead and undercut Brandon. He was wanting to go ahead and make that pit stop, but he wasn't able to get it down. He wouldn't be able to get the speed down low enough to be able to meet the 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. So he ended up having to get back in the gas and carry on, but it's like I said about the momentum. Everybody else had the momentum. He didn't have momentum because, I mean, he got out of the gas trying to get down there. Then he had to throttle back up and go. And then once you try to throttle back up as hard as you can, this track, I mean, as bad as it's wearing the tires out, as soon as you throttle back up, the whole back end of the truck starts shaking. The front end of the truck starts shaking. Everything starts shaking. And then you just lose all that momentum, unlike everybody else that had momentum when they was coming off the corner. As you see now, Jake is all up in the back of Eddie Smith right here.
Yeah, coming out of pit road, of course, there's a fast car approaching at 1,000,000 miles an hour in the background. They got to let them through, of course, because they get the warm tires up there. They don't really have to. There is the AT2 machine. There's a sirens going off the background. Might even be afraid of medical emergency. I thought everybody was just feeling bad for Doug, of course, that's sitting at pit road there with those damages and repairs. There's other references that I had to the situation, but of course, these drivers are the ones that are stepping out of the shadow into the spotlight of motor racing. Look at that. So how hard is it too? I was going to say, Jacob, you're coming out of pit road, you want to get temperature in those tires, but you said even racing at full speed, you don't want to gas it fully on the loud pedal coming out of those turns. So how gingerly do you have to be on the throttle after pit road?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I've said, time and time again, Dean. I mean, you want to be able to have an egg up under the pedal. Make sure you don't flat-foot it and crack the egg. You want to be able to give as much throttle management as you possibly can. And I just even looked at the track temp, and granted, it is a night race here this evening, but the track temp's still sitting at about 76 degrees, so it's not really that hot, to be honest with you. It's not really that hot. Air temp is sitting around in the 70-degree mark, so everything's just kind of, I mean, it's normal track conditions. Very good track conditions. It's just the track itself is just what's, really, keeping these guys from wanting to be able to go full throttle and send it and all that other stuff. But back to what I was saying earlier, about, thinking that some guys would go ahead and just make it on one stop and just go halfway. I think that's what Brandon Evans is thinking right now. But you see Jake, you see Patrick Drabeck, all these other guys that went down early, they may be thinking 2 stops to go ahead and try to make it to the end. So maybe they're thinking a little something different right here. As you see right now, I mean, I just saw Charles Fiskis just absolutely blow right by Brandon Evans. I mean, and he's already on those fresh tires.
Yeah.
He just shot right around him big time.
I saw that. I was like wondering if it was another driver in P2, but that's because it's fresh boots. Now keep an eye on that. Eddie Smith at the moment, the #1 machine with the Tide. So obviously, he's done his washing and drying and perhaps got those tires up into temperature, 45 of 115. He is put the fastest lap in. So if you are Brandon and you are Jeremy, there's Brandon. Jeremy's gone box. So there he is. Make it stick, my friend. There it is. No big smoke lock up there. Stick to the speed limit. Yep. Good luck on that one. Yeah, you're lucky in the United States of America you don't have speed cameras everywhere like we do in Australia, my friend, because they catch you. Even for just, if you pull out your phone for 1 second and look at it, there'll be a picture of you in the mailbox with a fine saying, caught you. Anyway, can anybody catch Brandon? And how much time is he going to lose? This is the thing. We'll go on board for him for a second. You can tell me, how is this truck feeling? How are the boots made for walking?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, they're slippery at this point because I've already seen him actually tag the turn 2 wall once or twice. As a matter of fact, I almost tagged it right there. Last lap, he ran a 31.1 to Eddie Smith's 29.2. So he's literally 2 seconds slower than the rest of the field right now is Brandon Evans right now. But he's wanting to run it long right here. That's exactly what he's wanting right now. He's wanting to be able to run it long. And to be honest with you, this could get really, really interesting. Should a caution come out right here, Dean? If a caution comes out right here. Now, I'm not trying to put no bad luck on nobody. I'm just saying, think about it. If a caution comes out, literally, there is 2 drivers, literally 2 drivers on the lead lap right now. That's Brandon Evans and James Kaufman. The first driver that is a lap down is Patrick Drabeck sitting in that 3rd spot. These guys have been out here already running on these tires. They're heating the tires up. They're starting to get worn out. Yep. Should a caution come out, they're going to be in a big-time deficit on whether or not to go ahead and pit or take the wave around. So Evans, I love the strategy that he is making right here. This is what I was thinking that you would do, is go ahead and go to about halfway of 115 and then go ahead, make your pit stop, and then come out with the fresh tires. Granted, some of these other guys, like I said, is 2 seconds faster than what Evans is running. But at the same time, he's got him at a disadvantage right now.
And if you want to see, well, you're right. If you want to board on Jake's perspective, and obviously if you want to see Joe Yake's perspective, Twitch.tv, it's on the back of his truck right now. You can get that one. Yake's 87. I suggest you go check that Twitch channel out there, whether he's streaming this one or not. Even watch the BOP later back there. But Joe Yake's currently at the moment sitting in P5. Now, these drivers, Jake is boxed on lap 38, lap 35 for Joe, so the tires are pretty similar. But of course, we do know, as you mentioned, Brandon and James have not boxed, and that, my friend, whoa, what is going on? What happened there?
Yeah, honestly, I think, he just snapped. And we've actually seen Joe a couple of times coming off of the turns, especially coming off of turn 2, which is exactly where he was at. He just got up just a little bit. I think he might have ended up straddling that very top seam, and the back end just kind of stepped out, and he just slid him around right there in front of Jake, and Jake was able to capitalize and get around him. But check this out here, folks.
This is P1 and P2.
Evans,
look at this.
Evans behind Kaufman.
Yes.
Evans is the leader, and check this out, Patrick Drabeck.
Oh, wow.
Looks like he's actually going to unlap himself, also with Eddie Smith right behind it. He has literally boxed Brandon Evans in. Evans cannot go anywhere. Kaufman gets turned in turn 1. No caution. He was able to save it, but right in front of Eddie Smith. Smith had to get out of the gas. Holy hell, Dean. That almost got big right there. for 3 of the guys, actually 4 if you want to count Hoffman, or excuse me, Kaufman, but I mean, that could have got crazy for all 4 of them right there.
I'm getting so confused at the moment knowing who is where and what, because Brandon's leading this race, but he's getting murdered, of course, because he's out here for a long time trying to make the strategy work. You got Patrick DeBreck in here. You got Eddie in here. You saw what happened. You got drivers a lap down, a lap up. Everything is going on here because they've got drivers that have been in and out of pit road. They're back on lap 38 or so now. And Brandon's still staying out. He's getting murdered, of course, by everybody. Look at that. I mean, as you said, he's got nothing left in that, but he's going for that one-stop strategy, I'd have to say there, Jacob. And of course, in a touch wood green flag race that we've had so far, all of those 55 laps have been a green. Barney's like wondering, hey, do I even have a yellow flag up there in the podium? No. Oh, in the fence, who's that?
And they keep on. They're going to end up having a caution here in a minute, and that was Ryan Pendleton actually got up into the fence right there in front of Jeremy Gardner. Gardner having to fight back just a little bit. He's going to end up going up to the 6th spot as Pendleton goes into the fence. Evans, I think he might have had enough of it at that point. He just said screw it and went ahead and went in. I mean, these guys, I mean, they were motoring past him big time, but now Evans is going to be on offense right here because he is going to have the fresher tires. These other guys, they're going to go about 20, maybe 25, maybe even 30 more laps. Well, not that much. But they're going to go to probably about, I'd say, lap 75, give or take, somewhere in that range is what I'm thinking they're going to end up probably going to. And then at that point, they're going to go in, get their 4 fresh tires, and they're going to straight up send it out. Evans, from what I can see and from what I'm thinking he's going to end up doing, he's basically already told everybody on the pit crew, hey, y'all can just load that box up. Unless a caution comes out, load that box up. Y'all go to the house because I'm going to go ahead and just keep this strategy rolling.
I like that. You're going to get out of the house, of course. You've been in the doghouse if you don't get that strategy correctly. Joe Yakes at the moment, he boxed on lap 35. He's in a bit of trouble at the moment because he just got overtaken by Jeremy. He's a rampage. And at the moment, he's got Ryan in the background. And it doesn't, I mean, everybody's going to look at it going, why is Joe so slow? Joe's not slow. Joe's tires are just a little bit less. Just a little bit less. And that's all it takes at the end of the day because he boxed on lap 35. Ooh. These other drivers are back locked on 38. So, you know, you might have other drivers that are boxed a little bit later because, you know, Brendan D. Evans is now down into P9 position. But Jeremy, my friend, Jeremy Gardner in P4, he's a wild card. He's the one to look out for. He boxed on lap 45. Everybody else around him has got older boots, apart from Brendan that just boxed. So you got P9 and P4 to look out for at the end of this race if you're going to go. Oh, and that's in the fence high line. That is big trouble there for Trevor. And
yeah, that was Pendleton that actually got up in the fence.
Oh, Pendleton, sorry,
yeah. That was Pendleton that got in the fence. But I mean, you know, and something else I was going to mention. I mean, these guys can go about 55 laps on a full tank of fuel. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, they ain't going to make it. When they pitted, they're not going to be able to make it all the way to the end on a tank of fuel. Now, with that being said, Brandon, if he can save just a little bit of fuel, he can actually go the distance and go all the way. So, you know, I'm telling you, honestly, I think this 39 strategy of Brandon Evans, I think he may end up in the catbird seat, especially if no caution comes out right here.
He comes
because that 39, he had a very good strategy, but here we go. Got a little bit more strategy going on. Gardner down to the bottom. He's going to shoot around Jake Ellingson right here. Set his sights on that Tide Chevrolet up there, which is Eddie Smith here this evening. So Gardner, he will go up to 3rd, send Jake Ellingson back to 4th. And Eddie Smith up here, he's still trying to run down Patrick Drabik. Then you got James Kaufman, who is 2 laps down, right smack dab in the middle of all this going on.
My pick's still on Jeremy, and apologies out there for Ray that Jake is on a different strategy anyway, because Jeremy's got fresher boots, but he cannot afford to burn those boots out if he's going to use them a little bit later on. Trevor, of course, is right here in the mix there. He's got Ryan And just to let you know, both of these drivers have boxed on lap 38. We're on 62, no doubt. So they are in similar situations. I'm just going to look at the moment there through my little, all the little buttons that I can press there, Jacob, to try to get a little indication out there for everybody tuning in as to when everybody box, because that is the key, isn't it? And of course, I'm referring to box as pit road, pit strategy, so forth. Poor Dougie. I really feel for poor Dougie. He's still sitting down there racing. It's going to be 40 minutes of repair. But hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Oh, he needs those pit crew, isn't it, out of the Cars movie, doesn't he? You know, the Italian ones that go, don't worry about it, I'll get the coffee out there. Get it done. But, hey, Jeremy, on the back of the tide machine. Eddie, this is battle for P2.
Yep, battle for P2, and Gardner all up in the back of him. Almost turned him coming off of turn 4. Eddie, he will back away and give Gardner the shot. Let him go ahead and slide right by him. So Jeremy Gardner, he's up to P2. And don't look now. I mean, Patrick DeBick not too far ahead. He's actually the next car to get to him as Pendleton gets sideways off of turn number 2, I believe it is. He's able to get it saved, and he just looks like he may end up parking it right here. Yeah, he's going to park it down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Why would he do that? I don't understand. He's right. I don't understand. You'll probably elaborate a little bit more as a driver's mentality as to why he would do that. There was no damage I saw in that car, right? We'll go back to the replay. Well, there was no damage. It was just, yeah, there's no real damage. Just, probably like tire damage, I think, but he's just parked it. What do you think?
We got a battle for the lead, Dean. Here we go. Gardner, he's going to slip past Drebeck. Drebeck's going to get out of the gas and let Gardner go. So Jeremy Gardner started 9th. Here he is up here leading here at Darlington. And, as we mentioned, Gardner said in the chat that basically he choked in qualifying. Well, it's like you said earlier, Dean, he ain't choking now, son. He's got that bad boy. He is letting it eat up here at the front of the field. Right smack dab in front of Patrick DeBick. Jeremy Gardner, your new leader here at Darlington.
He was waiting for Nicole Kidman, man. Yeah, anyway, you don't want to see Nicole Kidman, of course, on a date if you want to visit the hospital, of course, on the Days of Thunder. However, yes. Nobody's answered me out there if they believe whether or not I really did date Nicole Kidman or not. Anyway, that's another story, this one. Jeremy is, and once again, this is the reason. He boxed on lap 45, all right? Everybody behind him, Patrick, Eddie, Jake, Joe. Joe's even worse, actually. In fact, he's just got overtaken by Trevor because of those boots. Joe's on 35 lap tires. Travis has passed him like he's got no tires on that car. So everybody else is really boxed on lap 38. Jeremy on lap 45. But the key, of course, is Brandon. Now, what's Brandon's times doing? Because he boxed on lap 55. If any driver on this field right now has the freshest tires in town, apart from back in P11, this man. But is the time shining on the very shiny treads of those boots that he has on his car, my dear friend?
Well, I mean, and I'm sitting here watching the lap times, Dane, to be honest with you. I just sat here and watched, Gardner just ran a 30.2. We'll check out what Evans runs when he comes down right here to the stripe. So, I mean, keep in mind, Gardner running a 30.2. Well, look at Evans. Evans 30.4. But obviously, Evans went in and he got, obviously got in and got that pit stop and got those fresh boots, as you call. But, like I said, he's going the distance. He's going to try to go all the way to the end if he can make it. Save some fuel, all that good stuff. He's going to go as far as he possibly can right here and be able to have something, for these guys later on. Gardner and those guys, obviously, they got, way older boots, as you call them. Granted, Evans, he could go out here and he could straight up send it and put down some fast lap times, put down some 28s, maybe even some 29s. But I like the strategy that he's doing, running 30.5s, 30.4s right now, just saving his stuff and trying to go as long as he can. Let these other guys go in, make those pit stops, and then he can just fly right by him. Because this pit road is very, very tricky, as we've seen before with Eddie Smith trying to make that pit stop as well. I'm telling you, not only can the track be a pain, the pit road can be as well.
You mentioned it, and I thought we were going to go to that reference. On the fence there, Trevor, my friend. Yeah, I was going to go back because we miss Will, of course, and best recovery to Will, because I thought because Will would be the one right now as a commentator going. You said it going the distance, my friend. He's going the speed. You know, I'm pretty sure you might have heard that track in the past there, because Will would do that one. But yeah, you call them. I mean, I'm not surprised you don't call them boots, my friend. You know, the 4 little things that attach to the tarmac, they're boots. They're made for what? Is that something?
Well,
but anyway, Patrick's keeping up with Jeremy, which is actually quite impressive, because he's only a little bit down the road there. But keep out Eddie Smith there. There's a tide machine, my friend. You want to tumble in the dryer of Speedway? Yeah, of Darlington. There it is. What do you reckon? Is he running on a soft cycle, or well, not quite sure, or gentle or hard wash? I don't know.
Delicate. I believe that's what he's going to end up probably running on. But I mean, and Dean, and to your point about the boots, I mean, me and you have called, races all season right here for the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series with the Goat Locker Truck Series, or with Goat Locker Racing, and you picked up on some stuff that I picked up, or that I've done. You know what? Hell with it. I'm picking up on stuff that you're picking, or I'm picking up on you just like you picking up on me. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But
you
folks,
saying you got beef with me?
No, absolutely not. I'm giving you
mean.
props.
Yeah.
I'm giving you props. I'm giving the Australian props tonight, folks.
Banging.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
right.
you go.
Nah, we're just messing around, of course. I love it. And why not? Because it's green all the way. And this is one thing, Jacob, because I know you've been into this motor racing for a long time, and I'm relatively still pretty new to the oval scene. But we don't get greens all the way. I'm surprised if we get it greens all the way to 115, which will bring this strategy into play. It's almost like watching a Formula 1 race in Monaco, isn't it? Boring until pit stops. So, how does this pan out for the drivers? What's going through their minds? Because everybody's pretty spread out at the moment. I really don't have much camera angles to show you great battle of action that we usually get. Jacob, what do you do as a race driver right now? Like, where you are, what your position?
Well, I mean, Dean, honestly, I think at this point you kind of, I guess you could say, made your bed, more or less. Garner, Drabik, Eddie Smith, all, those guys, even Jake and Trevor, they've all kind of made their bed on when they made that pit stop. Like I said, obviously, they cannot go the distance, so they may end up trying to split this bad boy into threes and go ahead, in twos, and make 2 pit stops. As you see, Drabik. Now here goes Patrick Drabik. I mean, he sends it trying to go into the pits sideways, literally dirt tracking, trying to get into the pits. And you seen the pit road that I'm talking about right here. Those barrels, folks, they don't move. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. It's like hitting a brick wall. If you hit them barrels, they will not bounce around and sand fly all over the place. When they hit them, it's just like hitting a brick wall. So, I mean, big time sending right there by Patrick Drabik to be able to get it into the pits. And Eddie Smith, fantastic for him to slide right in there. But with all this going on, these guys going down, making these pit stops right here. Brandon Evans slipping past these guys like he needs to do right here. And you see, as long as these guys is going to be on pit road right here, that's just valuable time for these guys right here. But here you go, Drabik beating Eddie Smith off pit road.
Yeah, exactly. You said about that one. Remind me not to go riding shotgun with you into the pit road areas you mentioned at the moment, because if you even know how hard they are to hit. Yeah, I'm a little scared and cautious of that one. Jeremy's still staying out, but then again, he has to fresh his boots. This is the key to Brandon. That's slowly there. Look where he is. So remember Brandon that was leading this race for several periods to the 39 machine. Now he's not really going to have too much of a problem of letting the car behind, right? The tide machine there.
Yeah.
Eddie. So Eddie's going to go on by because he knows, well, Eddie's got the fresher boots.
Ooh, Evans in the fence.
Well,
oh my goodness. Evans got up all into the fence trying to let Eddie Smith get by him. And then he may have just drifted up just a little bit too much. So Brandon Evans may have a little bit of damage on that right side.
Oh,
That number 39 smacking into the fence. And that's the Darlington stripe right there, Dean. That's common. I mean, but he was able to get it off the fence as best as he can. I mean, it's like I said, these walls, it's basically like a vacuum cleaner. It just sucks you straight up into the wall. And then you're just basically just turning it to the left and just praying to God that you can get off of it within a reasonable time. But wow, I mean, that could have been big right there for Evans, who is on this one-stop strategy right now.
Yep, Joe's going in downtown, and there he is. So, well, we're going to see a few more pit stops. Jeremy's going to go. Do you think Jeremy has enough to go to the end? 82? No, 34 laps to go. He boxed on lap 45. Trevor in P2 in traffic. Oh, wow. And now, of course, Eddie in the background there is going, all right, let's go. Look on board of Eddie. How's this feeling right now? He's got to see these two cars. There it is, the inside there, bingo. And the next one up the road, of course, is Patrick.
Wow, I mean, and that took some guts right there, because as soon as he was getting ready to pass him, I was watching, and I'm sure Eddie couldn't actually see Trevor at that point, but Trevor was sideways. I mean, literally, he was sideways on that top side over in 3 and 4. So when Eddie was going by him, I mean, literally, Trevor but he could basically just barely turn his head to the left and actually saw the one truck going by him. That's how sideways he was right there.
He's sending it at the moment. Exactly. Oh, we could have a little bit of door banging there, learning a little bit of space. You see, it's not easy when you're driving the cockpit right now. I mean, look at this ride driving the cockpit. Tell me where the car is. Come on. It's barely hard to know. Of course, as a race driver, you do. And bingo goes up on the high line, and Eddie Smith is back on this one. Oh, sorry, of Charles. There's Jeremy. Jeremy's gone in. Jeremy has gone in. Now, what? How much is he going to lose? And this definitely has to be his last stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single one of these guys that are going in right here, this is their last stop. They are all the way to the end. Trevor, he's going in, barely misses the barrels right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Brandon obviously will stay out. And running decent lap times. I mean, he was running the same lap times, basically, that Jeremy Gardner was running. And obviously, Brandon got the fresher boots or shoes or tires or however you want to call it. But you see Joe Yates here. He comes, slips by another driver back here. That's Charles Fiskus in the 0-4. Eddie Smith, Patrick Trebek, boy, they slugging it out coming off of turn 4 right there.
Why not? Exactly. They've gone in and out of pit road, and they could be going to the very end of this race there. 31 to go currently at the moment. And there is Patrick. We all know Patrick, the Jam Printing and Promotions car livery there. Well, obviously, it's a big sponsor here of the fantastic Goat Locker Racing series. And of course, well, he's got Eddie up the road there. Brandon's come out in P1. Now, it's all up to him. Has he saved his tires? He wasn't risking it for the biscuit, mate. He was not putting in the banker laps at the pace that he can show. Has he taken care of his boots? And how about this driver right now? 11 positions gained. Charles.
Yeah, but I still think, that Charles will have to end up making a pit stop, which is where he is coming right here. So Charles is going to come in, and that's going to give second place to Eddie Smith when he comes around and gets around him right here. So Eddie Smith and Patrick Trebek, this is the battle for the second spot right here. But with these guys sitting here battling the way that they're doing, and granted, it's fast. I mean, granted, they are running faster than Brandon Evans. Let's not shy away from that fact. I mean, Eddie Smith just ran a 29.3 to Evans 31.6. So Evans slipping back just a little bit. Maybe trying to save just a little bit of extra fuel, or maybe save a little bit of extra tires just in case Eddie and those guys do decide to jump up and get in behind him. Check out the interval right here. Basically, they caught him by 2 seconds right there. But Evans, he's on this strategy. It's like I said earlier, those other guys that made that pit stop, I mean, they made their bed, they got to lay in it. And now Evans in that same situation. Now he's made that bed. He's got to lay in it. Here comes Trebek. He's going to make a bed out of it and try to find a way around Eddie Smith. He's going to slide right up in front of him over in 3 and 4.
I was just about to coin something for you, Eddie. I'm going to call you Steady Eddie. Come on, my friend. I can't call you Steady Eddie if you're not going to be so steady to the corner there. Almost tagged him, my friend. That could have gone downtown. That could have been like, one of those police reports you see on your television on high-speed chases. They're going to tag him in the rear end. No, he did not. And there it is. Patrick is up there. I'm still curious about my little wild card, the 42 machine there of Jeremy, because his boots are the best in town now. Now, talk about those boots, the 26 to go. He has a bit of work to go, come to think of it. So, let's see if he can get it done. Can he get it done? 5 positions gained. What's the laps he's putting in? I don't know. This man's still leading. There's Brandon D. Evans. Man that even earns a big D in the middle of his name. Go on, Brandon.
Well, I mean, and you just mentioned Gardner. I mean, the last lap that he ran was a 29 flat. So he's hauling the mail around here. I mean, he is straight up moving. We'll get a lap time for you right here in a minute, folks, as he's actually hitting the line at this point, 29.2. So he's actually running faster than Eddie Smith, than Patrick Trebek, and obviously way faster than Brandon Evans right now. But Eddie Smith and Patrick Trebek, they're starting to cut into this gap right here that Evans has, which is a 12-second lead right now, as Trebek and you know, Eddie Smith now starting to come off of turn 3 and 4. We'll get you an idea of how far they are back now. So 12 seconds at that point. Now they've got it down to 11.5 seconds. So 24 laps to go. Evans trying this one-stop strategy. We'll see if it works out for him. But I'm telling you, these two guys, they don't care. They want to try to get this second spot because in their minds, honestly, Dean, in their minds, they're thinking that this is the battle for the win. Should Evans not be able to make it, or should they catch him?
Now, I'm wondering at the moment if Patrick and Eddie somehow, as you know, they're not the same teammates or anything. There is no teammates when it comes down to 23 laps remaining in the race here for the Jam Printing and Promotions at Darlington Raceway. But I'm wondering, because Jeremy's actually going to slowly creep in on this battle at the moment. So it's going to A, benefit Brandon, or B, benefit Jeremy, or Patrick and Eddie work together here at the moment and make sure they're not losing too much time to either. Up the road, there's in the background, there's Jeremy. He's closing in. Now, are they pulling, is Brandon pulling away? That's the key. And is Eddie and Patrick going to kind of like go, hey, can we work together, mate? Do you want to win the race? Do I want to win the race? Or are we going to settle for P2 and P3? If not, maybe P3 and P4 if Jeremy catches us.
I think that's exactly what Eddie Smith's probably thinking, because him and Patrick Trebek, they were battling very, very hard for a couple of laps. And then I think Eddie may have sat there and thought, look, we're fixing to run down Brandon Evans. We need to just go ahead and just ease up from trying to fight one another. And obviously, as you mentioned, Jeremy closing in right here in the later portions of this race. Yeah, you called it right here. Gardner really starting to put down some laps. I mean, Trebek and them, they put a 29.8 up on the board. Gardner actually 4/10 quicker than Trebek and Eddie Smith that last lap. So Gardner putting down some laps. I mean, he can see second and third and barely, just barely. There's a little dot going into turn 1. That is the leader, Brandon Evans, and all three of them are catching him right now.
Oh, it's almost like at a racetrack, isn't it? When you're at the horse races, you can see the little bunny rabbit and the dogs all chasing it, the dog races. There it is, you can see, but he's not focusing at the moment of that little dot up the road, which is Brandon D. Evans leading this one. Look how quickly he's caught him. And I was just wondering if Patrick and Eddie are aware at the moment. Are they aware that if they don't mess around? What are you doing, Eddie? You yielded that position. Why would he do that?
I don't know if I'd have done that. I would have at least tried to race him for it. Yeah. But Gardner is on fresher tires. I mean, he's on fresher tires than Trebek and Eddie Smith. And actually, you see Trebek doing the same thing. He basically just pulls back and just lets Gardner go. That's a sign of respect right there, Dean. I mean, that's a sign of respect. Now, a lot of aggressive drivers on iRacing, they won't do that. They know that, oh, well, so what? You got 10, 15 laps fresher tires and me. Well, screw it. I'm going to race the hell out of you. Some drivers will do that, but with these guys, Trebek and Eddie Smith, two of the, I guess you could say, more respected drivers in the field, which every single one of them is respected. That's why they're at this level. But they have a lot of respect, and they understand that Gardner basically ran them down and got, and was able to get there. But now that they've seen all that happening, now Eddie Smith and Trebek, now they're going to try to fight it out for third, because at this point, that's what the battle is for right now, is for that third spot.
Jacob, I wanted to ask you a quick question about that one, because you have your buddies and your friends. Of course, it's a fantastic league, and everybody, gets along very, very well. But at the end of the day, you always have who do you shine to a little bit more as a friend or not on a track ally, perhaps. And do you think sometimes that these drivers of obviously Eddie and Patrick at the moment that are going for it too for now, do they go, you know what? Let's bring some excitement. There's 16 laps to go. Let's allow Jeremy to go through and see if he can catch Brandon. And, you know, if you know, who do you like better? Do you like Brandon or Jeremy? Like, sometimes you got to have favorites, right? You know, you're not a parent, right? And I believe parents out there say you never have a favorite child, right? Or whatever. But you still have favorites of something. Are they wanting to go, let's get them and let these two drivers have some beef? Let's get Jeremy catch Brandon so that they're, because Eddie and Patrick are still going to have their little fantastic battle, which is now evening out. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Dean, I mean, yeah, I mean, you put me in a bad spot. I'll be honest with you. You kind of put me in a little bit of a bad spot here because obviously I'm going to be a little bit biased right here. Check this out. Barkus actually racing Gardner just a little bit right there, but Gardner able to sneak by him. So that little dot that's up there in front of him starting to get closer and closer. That's Brandon Evans. And like I said, I mean, you kind of put me in a, I guess you could say,
of course I did.
a bad spot. Yeah, well, you put me in a bad spot. You really did. And for those of you that do not know, I am a sponsored driver with McConey Setup Shop. That's, you know, who I drive for with official races and things like that. And also call some races for McConey Entertainment as well for the Fast Fridays, which is tomorrow night. So if anybody's got a shot or if anybody wants to watch that, hit me up and I'll get you a time and a channel for that. But that's beside the damn point, Dean. See, this is what I was talking about. You put me in a bad spot. But, I mean, granted, I'm going to be a little bit biased, you know, as far as favorites. And obviously Brandon would be one of them. You know, Brandon, a good friend of mine. And Eddie Smith. You know, if I had to pick two favorites, I'd say Brandon and Eddie because those two drivers, excuse me, both of those drivers I've actually worked with those drivers, whether that be on the racetrack or in a broadcast booth. Eddie Smith, a great producer that done a fantastic job last night producing, or Brandon Evans, trying to shove him around Daytona when there was 30 other drivers behind us, trying to see if they could snatch the win from us. So, I mean, like I said, I'm biased, you know, at that point. Obviously, you know, I would say Brandon Evans would be a favorite just because me and him is on the same team because he drives for McConey Setup Shop as well, or Eddie Smith. But, I mean, that'd be the favorites. But, I mean, you know, every one of these drivers in the field, I mean, it's like I said, every single one of them, they're here for a reason. You know, Dean, they're here for a reason. And the drivers that's in the playoffs, you know, Jake, Patrick, Gardner, all those guys, they are in these playoffs for a reason because they have literally, and I'll just go ahead and say it like it is, they have all busted their asses all season long and got to the dance. So, I mean, you know, you got your favorites. I'm sure, you know, Gardner's probably your favorite. I'm just taking a wild guess. You picked him for this race. But, I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing, Dean. But, you know, to answer your question, I'd say Brandon and Eddie, those would be the favorites that I'm looking at right now.
All right, you avoid that question very well, actually, because look at. But in meantime, this is the reason why I'm picking Jeremy because look at the race leader. It hasn't been much, but that little dot is getting larger and larger and larger. It's kind of like, you know, you're sending a probe into space, aren't you? And all of a sudden, once he starts catching the wind with about a second and change, he is on for a shot. You got to remember, you're looking at a man at the moment, Jeremy Gardner, 84. The 84 I was going to say. 84 was the last lap. Lap 84 he boxed on. You're talking about Brandon Evans at the moment, which is, you know, your favorite, obviously, friend here as well, my old friend. However, you're not on the track to help him at the moment, my dear friend. You can't hold him up, block him, or block anybody else, or make it any easier. He's struggling. And with 8 to go, look at Jeremy, my friend. I don't know if you can write a script on the wall here, but this could be interesting. Ray out there, I've got your messages about that. Don't worry about Jackson P5 and Doug. We're going to go back to Doug. I know he's in pit road, but we still support Doug. And I love it. Even if he's sitting in pit road the whole time. We love you, Doug. Hang in there, my friend. We'll get that car fixed in time. We've got 7 laps to go. Here it is. Jeremy versus Brandon Evans for the final dying stage of the Jam Printing Promotions Darlington Raceway.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys really, honestly, Dean, you know, favorites aside, these two drivers have literally been the class of the field all season long, Evans and Gardner. And now you're going to see it right here. But Evans has picked up the pace just a little bit. He's been back there saving those tires. But granted, Gardner is on the fresher set. Gardner just ran a 30.3 to Evans 30.6. But as I mentioned, as how tight this track is, now I guarantee you right now, Trebek and Smith let Gardner go straight by him. Brandon's not going to do that. If anybody thinks he's just going to straight up pull over and let him go, well, I hate to say it, but you're crazy.
That's a race lead.
He's not going to. Well, yeah, I mean,
this
is for the win right here, and a 100% shot to lock yourself into that championship round next week at Vegas. Here we go. Evans on the top. Here comes Gardner. Basically no contest. Shoots straight down to the bottom. Evans, he will go back to second. And Jeremy Gardner, your pick, Dean, takes the lead here with 5 laps to go.
It's the boots, my friend. I told you about the boots. They're made for walking. People, it doesn't matter. I come from a road, racing and all that sort of stuff, Formula One and everything like that. Tires, those little small points of contact for them that connect to the track. They're your most important asset. If we had cautions, this whole story would have been a little bit different, Perhaps the rabbit hole wouldn't have existed. Perhaps Willy Wonka didn't give out the Charlie and the golden ticket to the chocolate factory. It could be a completely different script, but Jeremy has scripted it perfectly by the man that has almost the freshest boots, because the rest of the drivers have boots, but they're all the way down. Say Charles, for example, here a lap down. He timed it perfectly. Now, once again, if that caution car came out, that would have changed everything. But sometimes, my friend, if you roll the dice... Oh, don't roll the dice at the fence there, Jeremy. I put money on you, my friend, okay? The bookie's going to hunt me down at the moment if I don't pay up. Here we go. 3 to go.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, that truck ain't going to take too many more damn licks like that right there, Dean. I'm just going to say, because, I mean, he didn't just go up and bump it. He didn't rub it. He slammed that wall coming off turn 2, which is ironic because turn 2 has basically been the corner this evening. It's been the corner that's been giving all these guys all the struggles.
That's a
divorce,
the divorce lawyer corner, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it literally is. But check this out. With Brandon Evans, Evans actually has dropped off the pace a good bit. Granted, Gardner,
gotta take him.
He's gone. Here comes Evans.
Him.
He's going to get passed by Trebek. And Smith actually is going to get around him as well. So, wow, bad break right here for Brandon Evans. Actually going to lose some more spots right here. But Jeremy Gardner, here he comes off of turn number 2. The regular season champion coming into the playoffs. And the number 42, Dean, your pick. Jeremy Gardner coming in through 3 and 4, lap truck in front of him. It will be no worries to him. Jeremy Gardner comes off of turn 4. Gardner's going to win, but here is the fight for the 3rd spot between Trebek and Evans. Door to door, they door bang. Basically like Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven, but Evans actually may have got out of the gas and give it to Trebek. Yeah. Wow, I mean, I'll tell you this much. They actually got everybody's blood pressure built up right there a little bit. But Trebek will get 3rd. Eddie Smith gets 2nd. And as I mentioned, Jeremy Gardner, the number 42, getting the win here tonight at Darlington.
Well, I told you earlier. All right, come on. It's writing on the wall, isn't it? It's writing on the Darlington Raceway wall. There you go, Ray. So Jake will get himself up. Starting P5 and in a P5. Dougie! Did Dougie still stay at pit road? Come on, Dougie. There. Oh, no, it is. I'm not quite sure we get that one. Anyway, because the closing chapters of this tale is to be... However, of course, we have the results. And as I said, guess who's on the winner? Go ahead. Jacob.
Yeah, you pretty much called it. Good job, Dean. Jeremy Gardner getting the win, the perfect strategy. Honestly, I was leaning towards the Evans deal, but honestly, I think it was just too many laps. I think that's exactly what it was. So Jeremy Gardner end up getting the win. Eddie Smith will get 2nd. Patrick Trebek 3rd. Brandon Evans will get 4th. Actually, I'm hearing now that Brandon Evans ran out of fuel right before the line. So, wow, that may have been why Trebek was able to get that 3rd spot. Evans ran out of fuel at the line, but Evans will settle for 4th. And Jake Ellingson, good drive for him. Started 5th, kept his truck clean. He ends up finishing in the 5th spot. Joe Yakes, he will finish 6th. He's the last truck to finish on the lead lap. The rest of the drivers, Charles Fiskis will get 7th. Pretty good drive for him. Started 13th up to 7th, so good drive for him. James Kaufman had some, I guess you could say, flashes up at the front of the field in the 25. He will finish 8th. Jamie Barkis will get 9th, and James Gosham will round out the top 10. The rest of the drivers, Trevor McManus started 4th. He ends up finishing 11th. Ryan Pendleton, 12th. And Doug Ellingson gets 13th with John Anthony, who did not start the race. He will end up finishing 14th. But
Yep.
wow.
Well,
Dean, what a race. I mean, flag to flag, basically green flag all the way to white flag and checker.
yeah, you called it exactly. I was going to say great minds think alike, my friend. This is probably one of the very first truck series, of course, or even oval races that I've ever experienced. So we've gone green all the way, and we had green all the way. And so that is also interesting because what it does is it springs into a whole different race strategy. And of course, it paid off for Jeremy. He picked it right. There's other drivers that picked it right as well, too. As you said, Charles in P7, he picked it right. He's gained 6 positions there. Go Yanks. Some of the drivers kept with it the whole time. This whole thing could have been tipsy-turny, but it is. And of course, as Brandon says, ran out of fuel. My friend, you got to get gas. Tried something off the wall. You know, gasoline, my friend, it helps these little machines at the moment. But Brandon, you were driving the pants off that machine. Of course, you had Jacob out there supporting him, my dear friend, but I knew at the end of the day, even with the gas problem or not, and Jeremy would have just destroyed you in tires, not pace, because you had the pace anyway, but tires are the key. The king, of course. Elvis right now would be going, it's all tires, baby. It's all tires.
Speaking of the king of Darlington, we're going to go ahead and bring him in. That is Jeremy Gardner getting the win here this evening. And you know, Jeremy, I mean, you actually, I think you actually may have practiced that strategy from what it looked like, because I mean, that was the perfect strategy call. Honestly, I was up here in the booth and I was thinking just split it right down the middle, but you went with a completely different strategy, doing the 2 pit stop strategy, and made it work out for you. So congratulations on the win here tonight, bud.
Yeah, I didn't practice that at all. I took a guess at it. When I seen Brandon stay out for those extra probably 6 to 8 laps, I knew what he was going to do. He was going to try and do a one-stop race. I was like, I'll try and get about a 6-7 lap advantage on Drabik and all the guys that were behind me. But no, it worked out perfect. There at the end, I literally crossed the line with .2 laps to go, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, I bet I've been in those situations where you're just like, oh God, please make it at that point. But obviously, getting the win tonight, it locks you in to the championship race, to battle for a championship with the Jam Printing Promotions Truck Series. Going to Vegas, what's your mindset going into Vegas? Because obviously it's way different than Darlington. You got a lot of momentum. The draft comes into play. It's basically like a mini Atlanta, or actually it is like an Atlanta, but at the same time, you know, tire wear comes into play as well.
I don't really have a plan for it. I just hope luck's on my side and I survive. I haven't had the best of luck at Vegas. It's kind of like going to Atlanta, almost winning the race, and then I get wrecked out. But that's all I can hope for is some good luck for sure. Vegas can be fun, but it can be disastrous. But I think with these group of guys, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I wrecked Monday night in my league race at Vegas too. So hopefully you don't run into the same problems that I ran into. But Jeremy Gardner getting the win here tonight. And Jeremy, before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to thank that made this possible?
Yeah, shout out to y'all for putting the broadcast on. Y'all put on a hell of a broadcast. Shout out to the league. This is a hell of a league. All the guys in here are cool as can be. They do this for a good cause. I mean, couldn't ask for any better.
Oh,
Awesome.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Jeremy, because
Go ahead, Dane.
I picked you to win the race. So
Yeah, he did.
you didn't let me down.
He picked you to win the race.
And you owe me
Yeah, I forgot
$20,
about
Jeremy.
that.
You owe me $20. All right, thank
Hey,
you.
I heard y'all doubting me in qualifying.
Yeah, I heard about that, but it's okay, my friend. You know, qualifying's one
Well,
thing,
hell,
my
you
friend.
said you choked. Hell.
Hey, qualifying's
did.
one thing. The race results are another. And even though, you know, a $20 side bet, we'll put it towards charity. Thank you, my friend.
There you
get
go.
it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go. Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the win, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, buddy.
That was Jeremy Gardner getting the win, and I think you might have made him feel just. I think you might have felt him, or not felt him. I think you might have made him feel good right there, Dean, letting him know that basically you picked him to win the race.
Winner, of course. Yeah, I mean, I don't pick drivers to win a race anymore. Hey, I'm getting good at over racing now. But who are we going to get to be picking for the next interview here this evening, there, Mr. Jacob?
Well, we're going to bring in our second place driver. We're going to bring in Eddie Smith, who is in the #1 Tide truck here tonight. Actually changed it up. Been running the Victoria's Secret truck, a bunch. And Eddie, last time I saw you, man, we was in Talladega and watching a hell of a finish in that race. But like you had a hell of a race going on here tonight. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we hopped in the G5 from Talladega, Alabama, drove over here to Darlington, or flew over here to Darlington, and was ready for a nervous race. Probably the most nervous Darlington I've ever been in, where you only get one race here. And Darlington is one of those that, man, if you make a mistake, it can be big, and it could just really mess you up. And with this one race deal, I came in here with fourth on my mind. I said, look, as long as I get fourth, I know I'm good. And so we hit the track, started on the pole, which I couldn't believe. Darlington, I can't say is my best track. I can lay down a good lap, but long run, I struggle here. So I figured Garner would be probably a good bit better. Brandon too. Was doing good there early on, doing real good, and then tried to come down pit road. Didn't practice my pit entry and flew pit road, and that was pretty much any bid for me to try to win the race was done there. So yeah, but hey, shit, I'll take it there in second place. I promise you that. How did you beat me out?
That's all right, buddy, friend.
Well, I mean, hell, I'd take second place at Darlington because, as I mentioned earlier, I straight up hate this track. But we talked about turn 2, which is, or we referenced Days of Thunder earlier about dreaded turn 4, treacherous turn 4, and then obviously, later on they basically flipped the track because the back stretch used to be the front stretch, and so on and so forth. But now, obviously, it's treacherous turn 2, so. I mean, what's so crazy about turn 2? Because we've seen guys sideways, we've seen guys pushing up and pounding the fence. You actually grabbed the fence once or twice. And I just told everybody that basically it is the hardest turn in oval racing to get off of. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a lot like Dover. It's a wide track, and it's just deceptive unless you're driving on it. Because the way you have to drive turn 1, you drive in on the apron, drive up to the wall, gas her up, man, you're full throttle 80% the whole way through, and then you have to hit this. I mean, you're basically a needle in the haystack on the exit. But I'm of the opinion that if you don't hit the wall off 2 at Darlington in a race, you ain't trying. You might as well not show up. So that's where all the speed is. If you're not pushing that limit, you're not going to run up front. And so I think if you don't get a little bit of that wall every once in a while, it's you ain't trying. So it was fine. It worked out pretty good. But yeah, you just have to get that run, and you have to come off the bottom. And sometimes if you just don't time it right, the tires are just not where they want. That last run, I really pushed the front tires a little bit more than I maybe wanted to. So the right front really wasn't helping me. The back tires kept trying to break loose, and so it just would push off of 2. And then once you start pushing, it's over. You can't brake, you can't slow down. Once you've committed to that line and you push up off the corner, you're going right into that wall. All you can do is pray to the good Lord and hope that it doesn't hit the engine. So yeah, I love it though. I think it's fun. It's so much fun to have a track where you're just racing the track. Everybody that's around you is really just they're just along for the ride. It's really about the track. So I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Eddie Smith getting the win, getting second here tonight. I'm crossed up all over the place, Eddie.
Feels like a win. It feels like a win.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely does. And obviously, different paint scheme running the Tide truck, but we'll get into that later on. But Eddie Smith getting second tonight. And Eddie, before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to thank that made this possible tonight?
Well, yeah, I definitely want to thank Tide and all their products, man. Just unbelievable. What they can do, and I know they'll get that truck cleaned up as we head next week, and we'll be ready to roll and see if we can't get this shipped. So definitely appreciate them. Thank y'all in the booth, man. Y'all do a great job. Thank Patrick and Jamie for the league they put on. Thanks for the racing from the guys tonight, and congratulations to Garner for another win. Just a dominant performance by him.
Awesome job by Eddie Smith getting second here tonight. And Eddie, as I mentioned, you should be locked into that Final Four going into Vegas. So hopefully we'll be talking to you in Victory Lane next week. When you may end up getting, you're gonna have some competition, but we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully we'll be talking to you at Vegas next week.
All right, thanks, fellas.
That was Eddie Smith getting second here tonight, but we're gonna bring in, I guess you could say, the boss man of Goat Locker right here. That being Patrick Drabeck, and Patrick. I mean, this basically turned into, I guess you could say, an old school style race. Basically, I mean that's the way I looked at it. It was basically an old school race. With, I mean, no green flag. You basically had all your strategy, and you actually was able to get it done. Actually, had almost a photo finish right there with Brandon coming all the way to the line.
Yeah, that was pretty entertaining there. I mean, it, just like anybody else, fought the truck all night long. Knew what I needed to do to advance to the championship for. So just tried to keep that truck in the top 2, top 3 all night long. But yeah, I knew Brandon's strategy and thought he was running out of fuel there, and I went by him on the back stretch, and then he kind of gassed it back up and raced me through 3 and 4, and we were nose to nose coming to the line, and I heard his truck hiccup and got the spot.
I think, and you and Eddie Smith, I mean, y'all had a hell of a battle going on. But I want to go back to that because, you had Gardner, obviously, he's on, I guess you could say, as Dean would say, the freshest boots, I guess, or the freshest tires. And, obviously, he was trying to run Evans down. And both of y'all saw Gardner just coming, full head of steam. Obviously, y'all let him go. But for that one moment where y'all basically probably, hell, I guess y'all both had the same mindset. Just go ahead and let him go. And then at that point, y'all just went back to start slugging it out once again with one another.
Yeah, we had some great battles. I mean, it was a lot of fun racing Eddie. We've raced against each other for years, and that's probably the first time in a long time that we got to battle like that. And to be able to catch up to him there, he kind of messed up his first pit stop a little bit. I got out in front, he tracked me back down. We got to race side by side there for a little while too. So yeah, it's an absolute blast. I mean, too much fun.
Yeah, I mean that's what Darlington is. Too much fun. And Patrick, one quick question before we go into are you thanking your sponsors? We talked to Eddie a minute ago, and he was talking. I asked him about the turn 2 wall, and he said he could compare it, I guess you could say, to Dover, because I asked him, did he think that was the hardest corner in all of oval racing, on iRacing, to get off of, and he agreed with me, and he said like I said, he compared it to Dover. So I was wanting to get your thoughts on that turn 2 wall, because it looked like you actually hit that turn 2 wall, well, just about like everybody else did here this evening.
Oh yeah, on that last run, I think in that last 10 laps, I slapped it pretty good one time. No, I mean, I'm going to disagree with the good Eddie Smith.
Ooh.
I love Darlington. I think this is a driver's track. And you really got to work the gas pedal. You got to work the steering wheel, and you got to treat the track with a lot of respect. So no, I don't think it's one of the toughest turns out there. I think if you understand the track and know how to run it, and you're a driver, that thing won't scare you at all.
Well, Patrick Drabeck actually going against the great Eddie Smith. Boy, that's a new one right there. I'm gonna have to hell, everybody. Yeah, everybody clip that one and put that one on TikTok or something like that. Basically, like what I like to do, basically clip videos on TikTok. Yeah, clip that one. But Patrick Drabeck getting third here tonight and should be safely locked in to Vegas next week. Should be good, locked in for that championship race. But Patrick, before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to thank that made this possible tonight?
Yeah, as always, Jam Printing and Promotions that do phenomenal work for us here at Goat Locker Racing. I always carry them on the side of my car. I can't say enough great things about them and all the cool stuff they do. If you own anything that has Goat Locker Racing on it, Jam Printing and Promotions made it, and there's a lot more cool stuff coming. Cruising Classics out of Columbus, Ohio, as always, as well. The Veterans for Life Foundation and all the great stuff that they're doing, not only here with Goat Locker Racing, but out in the real world. And I always want to just give a huge, huge shout out to everybody that comes and supports Goat Locker Racing, comes out and races with us, watches the streams, sends us messages on Facebook. That's what it's all about, building this community and coming together. And it's truly, truly awesome and truly humbling. And we have a lot of huge announcements coming up, including our continued partnership with you guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, that was something I was actually gonna kind of keep under wraps for right now. I thought we I thought we was gonna make it a surprise, but I guess there went that. But anyway, but Patrick Trebek, I mean, hey, folks, if you love us, we're coming back next season. If you hate us, we're coming back next season. I don't know what else to tell you. We're coming back.
Nobody hates you,
coming
Jacob. Nobody hates you. Everybody loves you.
Well,
we love you too, Patrick. Good job there.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. I
absolutely.
appreciate you.
Absolutely. Patrick, congratulations on third place finish. And hopefully we'll be talking to you in Victor Lane next week at Las Vegas.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Just don't run out of fuel. Anyway. Oh, God.
Damn, you had to go there. Anyway, well, I mean, and Dean, in closing thoughts, I mean, granted, obviously, you picked Jeremy Garner. You picked him. He talked about it, choked in qualifying, but still was able to fight from ninth and come up and win the race. But, I mean, your closing thoughts on what we saw here this evening.
Tires. Mm-hmm. It's tiring to say it, but the boots are made for walking, my friend. We talked about that, and those boots walked all over the rest of the drivers. He had the speed, he had the pace. You have to have the speed and the pace, of course, but you have to have the timing and the strategy, and of course, green all the way. It was. Over to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said earlier. I mean, you basically, the old school racing fans, I'm sure they were tickled to death to see something like this because, you usually don't see 115 laps at Darlington go flag to flag. Now, I say that as far as like real life racing, like NASCAR racing, you see that. But as far as iRacing goes, so much can happen on iRacing, so much, glitches and, it's just so many things that can happen on iRacing because I've never actually seen a 115 lap Darlington race, Dean, go flag to flag. I've never seen that happen. And these guys proved me wrong that it is possible that they can do it. And, as, Patrick mentioned, coming back next season, obviously these guys got one more race. They got Vegas next Thursday night for the championship. But coming back next season, Dean, I mean, these guys right here, I mean, they're top notch. It's a top notch league, and Patrick's done a fantastic job, with the recruiting and getting all these drivers in here. And, it puts on a hell of a show every Thursday night. And, and also I want to say this, and I'll give you a moment to speak on it as well. I mean, we appreciate the fans. Ray, we appreciate, Blake Lothian chimed in tonight as well. Even Brandon Evans, hell, he chimed in telling us about him running out of fuel. So all the viewers, all the fans that, that tune in every single night, whether, you're here to watch Jeremy Garner or Eddie Smith or Jake Ellingson, Doug Ellingson, Evans, any of those guys, hell, whether you're ready to chime in and watch me and Dean, hell, I don't know. I mean, we appreciate every single one of you guys for being here because that's why we're here. I mean, that's what makes us want to do this all the time, right, Dean?
Well, you answered all my questions on that one, my friend. It was exactly what I was going to cut in on. I was going to say, it's because of everything you just said. God damn it. Great casters think alike, don't they? You did it. You called it. And it is because we are entertainers and we're hoping to bring the best entertainment here at the NASRAC 360 network to all the fantastic racing series. And of course, as you already elaborated on, the fact that, it's all brought by the community of the people that put it all together. Of course, you had the Patrick himself that come in there and just mentioned all that one. So I hope everybody really enjoys themselves and the support, of course, from the community in the chat. Get some beef out there, If you wanna, talk about Jacob's races and Jacob races, of course, and you can find him on the NASRAC network. You can pick beef on him too. We all love it
Thanks
up
a
here in the
lot.
casting box. You go here. And by the way, happy birthday to you a few days ago. It's not too late, is it, there from Jacob? But GG's on that one, my dear friend. Any
Nah,
other
it's
final
never too
words?
late for that.
Yeah.
I mean, just just thank everybody, all the sponsors, Jam Printing and Promotions, Goat Locker, all the sponsors that you've seen, time and time again on the screen, and and thank you, Dean, for being here and producing and putting all these camera angles up here. Thanks to Cody Knott, Brady LaBeouf, obviously Patrick Drabik with the league. I mean, there's so many people to thank,
Forgot
so many
one person to
sponsors to
thank
thank.
there.
What, my smoking hot wife? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, there you go. Oh my God, I can't
Got to
believe
pull
you
Eddie
have a
Smith
wife.
on that one right
I
there.
cannot believe you have a wife and you didn't thank her first. Oh my God, I hope you're not going to get an Oscar award or something. Anyway, go ahead, my friend. That should be the first.
Yeah.
She's going to be listening going,
Yeah, I'll probably hear about it.
Yeah.
I'll probably hear about it here in a minute. But
All right.
anyway, folks, that's going to wrap it up here at Darlington tonight. And Jeremy Gardner, able to go from 9th to 1st, score the victory, lock himself in 100%. We're looking at probably Eddie Smith, Patrick, basically your front 4 drivers that finish 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 drivers, we're not guaranteeing nothing. We don't know the exact points as of right now. We do not know the exact points, but the front 4, that's what it's looking like. We'll be running for a championship next week when we go to Vegas. So it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one, folks. Season finale for the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series at Las Vegas. Going to be 9 o'clock Eastern Time next Thursday night. Hope you will join us as we're going to crown a champion. Is the regular season champion Jeremy Gardner going to get the win? Is he going to win the championship? Is Eddie Smith, the Victoria's Secret Toyota Tundra, or the Tide Chevrolet, whichever one he prefers, will he end up winning the championship? Patrick Drabik, the owner of Goat Locker, is he going to win the championship? Or is it going to be Brandon Evans from the McConey Setup Shop? Will he end up getting the win? Only time will tell. We'll see you guys next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Time here on the NASRA 360 Racing Network for the championship race at Las Vegas. Everybody be safe and be kind to one another.